Not very good. I think we can make a really positive impact for Republicans by getting them to be more effective, because they are being extremely ineffective. We should win virtually all elections considering the advantages that we have, and we're not. So on this thing, we've added 5 more. It's going to be the third portion of the video, and then we're going to get into the solutions, what we can do to make things better. What is the second biggest disadvantage that Republicans have in elections? That would be the indoctrination of students in public schools, causing a 20 to 30% loss of the youth vote. We all know that. By the time they get 30 or 40, they start waking up from the real world and they can become Republicans. What has the RNC ever done about this? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Not only that, the RNC has never complained about the fact that we have a huge overrepresentation of communists and terrorists in colleges, teaching, people like Bill Ayers and Angela Davis. This has been going on since I was in college. The American people are not in favor of paying communist terrorists to teach their children lies. This would be a good campaign issue. And they never use it. It doesn't make sense if they're actually trying to win. 22. What is the third biggest disadvantage Republicans have in elections? I'd say that would be voter fraud. Jim, he's going out the back door. He's a great helper on this issue. And I think you estimate...
By the way, I need 5 minutes.
Oh.
On that subject.
Okay, cool. Okay. And it's estimated 3 to 4% on average in elections is lost due to voter fraud. It's always been that way. They prevented blacks from voting with the grandfather clause. They used the Ku Klux Klan to intimidate people into not voting. The Chicago mob gave Kennedy the 1960 presidential election, voting dead people. Donald Duck voted for Obama in Nevada in the last election. So what has the RNC ever done about this? Nothing. And they had total control in 2001. They had the White House, both branches of the legislature. I was expecting them to do something because they're losing 3 to 4%. Nothing. Nothing. It really makes you think. So 23 is, 10 months ago I came here and I spoke, and I said the RNC was setting up Obama to win the election in 2012, because they're saying that only thing that counts is how the economy is doing right at the election. Well, we're 3 years late on a recovery now, and they just give them a total pass on this. The average time to get a job today is 40 weeks. The worst for any prior president is 20 weeks. So 3 years into a supposed recovery, it's twice as hard to get a job today as in any other president prior. Yes, Steve?
Who appointed Ben Bernanke as chairman of the Federal Reserve?
I believe George Bush did.
Oh, and who reappointed him?
I think Obama.
Okay, so there's your answer.
That's right, and that's the problem with the establishment Republicans. Why? Okay. So no matter what happens, Obama's great as an F. And when I said that, some people here believed me that it was possible, and others said, well, you know, he's 8% down on terms of favorability, unfavorability. Well, today he has positive favorability ratings according to Gallup. It's happened because the Republicans, the RNC, has not taken advantage of his huge failure on the economy. Does someone want to read number 24? Elsie?
Which party has the moral advantage? Democrats are the party of evil, racism, riots, disloyalty, and criminality in general.
Good question. Now that's a bold statement, okay? But it's also a true statement. From slave traders to declaring war against the United States and killing over 150,000 U.S. Army soldiers, to the KKK, they formed it, to the Black Panther Party today, standing out in front of voting booths with clubs and then getting off because Eric Holder lets them get off because they're helping the Democrats win elections. The party evil has really always been the Democratic Party. And riots, think of riots. Every riot that you can think of in the last 150 years has basically been Democrats, especially any racist riot, whether it was the whites going into black neighborhoods and killing hundreds of blacks to prevent voting rights, or just because they hated them, or today you think of like the LA riots, or even if it's over basketball shoes. We all know basically it's Democrats doing the rioting. There's no such thing as a Republican riot. This is a huge moral advantage for the Republicans. Do we take advantage of it? No, not the RNC is not. We'd be a lot better off because think of all the groups that feel uncomfortable with this moral disadvantage. You know, Christians, Jewish people practicing, Muslims even. They will feel uncomfortable with this evilness and this criminality and the sleaziness that is part of the Democratic Party. And in our heart, and if you go to prisons, it's 90% Democrats. I know, I've talked to people in California prison system, Nevada, they say the same thing. 90% of criminals in prison are Democrats if they could vote. Not all of them can vote. Whether it's car thieves, murderers, rapists, billionaire tax cheats like Lenora Helmsley, or the worst insider trader ever, Raj, who's just been sent to prison, they're all Democrats. The most racist institution in America is so racist, it's still segregated. And these people are so racist that they have to separate them because they'll stab each other to death if they don't. That's our prisons, which are 90% Democrats. And it's just not one race. It's all the races in prisons tend to be racist. The only common denominator is that they're Democrats. Do we take advantage of this? No. Just think how uncomfortable it makes you. See, this isn't making you uncomfortable. I see a lot of smiles here, realizing this. But think if you're a Democrat, do you really want to be a party of racists? Yes.
You wanted to say this in a group. I belong in a group with 80% Democrats, and so does he over there.
Yeah.
And 20% of us. If we brought some of these facts up, how do we prove it? Because their first thing is, where'd you get it? Fox News or Murdoch?
Okay.
Where'd you get it?
Okay. If you want to invite me, I'll come and we'll do it.
I will.
Okay, you have a deal. Now, if we can just get people to switch to being independent, sort of like people in the Bay Area, they're Raiders fans or the 49er fans, it's genetic, it's what their parents were, whatever. This is really important, that the future of our country is at stake, and people should not belong to an organization if it's harmful. So if we can just get people to be independent, then that makes them open-minded and they'll vote a lot better. Sometimes people just vote because of their party. So as we go through all this, what is the solution? Well, this is part of the solution. This is why we're filming this. I think the video is very effective when I looked at it.
Battery's out.
Battery's out? Back there? No, his battery. Oh, this one? No, it's being filmed back there. So it's just exposing it. If we could get this video to 10% of the Republicans in the United States, I think the scam is over. It's like Bernie Madoff. If you went out and told 10% of his investors this whole thing's a Ponzi scheme and you proved it to them, they'd tell all their friends and the whole thing would fall apart. And so that's what we want to do. Yes?
As you know, for 9 years before he was arrested, a lady named Erin Arvidlund, a writer for Barron's, regularly exposed Bernie Madoff. No,
that's right. And people also went to the SEC and said, we think he's running, which shows you how good regulators are. But if the actual investors were if it's proven to them, then the whole thing would fall apart. And it did. The day after he was exposed, how much money did he raise? So, sunlight kills scams. What we need to do is also get people represent us to run the Republican Party. And I think actually this convention shows how possible it is. Whether you agree with it or not, it shows that the Republican organization can be taken over. It was taken over in Nevada this weekend. It can be taken over nationally. And what we need people is that they're trying to win and that truly represent. Now, why are you not being represented? The reason you're not being represented is that you're the backbone of America. You're the people that care about the future for this country. So if someone wants to destroy America, they have to disenfranchise you because you're the protectors. That's the best way. And has anyone ever planned this? Yes. There's a guy named Carroll Quigley, Professor Carroll Quigley. He's Bill Clinton's professor at Georgetown. He wrote a book. It's like 900 pages long. And in that book, he said, that's why it's called the Quigley factor, if you really want to bring about fundamental change in America, what you have to do is take over both parties and then have one promote your positions and then have the other one pretend to oppose them, but be like in a professional wrestling match where they lose. And when we've gone through these questions, we've gone through 25 questions that all indicate that the Republican RNC is not really trying to win elections. The facts tend to indicate that that the Quigley factor has been implemented. And so I think it's our job to undo the Quigley factor and get the Republican Party back on the side of Republicans. Any questions? Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for viewing this video. Now we'll get into supporting materials of why Republicans are so suspicious of the RNC. As this chart shows, Obama took over at the perfect time for a politician, about 3 months before national recovery would have taken place. This chart has all 11 recessions since 1940. The red line is a recession that Obama inherited, which we've removed so you can guess where it goes to. So what has happened since Obama has implemented his plans with massive majorities in both houses? Do your best to guess where this line goes. The orange box shows what's happened since Obama's policies have been implemented. It's literally off the chart. In fact, at this point, unemployment is worse after 3 years of what Obama's called a recovery than the very worst months of most recessions. By Obama's own standards, what effect has he had? This chart was put out by the White House when he took office, saying that if he was given $1 trillion stimulus program, that the lower line is what would happen to unemployment. But if nothing at all was done, that the upper line would take place, the soft blue line. So how's Obama done by his own standards? By Obama's own standards, his $1 trillion stimulus plan, actually a political slush fund, has made the unemployment situation about twice as bad as it would have been with no plan. In human terms, in unemployment, time equals suffering. Obama promised millions of green jobs and all sorts of things that were going to end unemployment. How's he actually performed in terms of how long it takes to get a job? For the last 65 years, the government has tracked how long it takes to get a job on average. This is a chart. It ranges mostly between 10 and 20 weeks. So what effect has Obama had? How long does it take to get a job today? Again, it's off the chart bad. It today takes about 40 weeks to get a job, or twice as long as before Obama took office. It has never been this high, ever. So naturally the question is, why has the RNC not put out these charts and told the American people about how clearly Obama has been a failure? It does beg the question, are they trying to help Obama get elected? If you are happy with how the RNC and subsidiaries are winning elections and preventing our national debt from growing, then by all means continue to contribute to them. If not, then you can have much more effect by making your contributions directly to the candidate's campaign. Some Republican fundraising groups with ties to RNC take 90% of the total cash raised, and only the crumbs make it to the candidate. This may be beyond greed. It may be on purpose to sabotage Republican voters. In addition to direct giving, there are low overhead and effective PACs, such as Western Representation PAC. They are sometimes more effective than the candidates with ad money.